Good morning, my dear students. Today I am going to focus on an important topic, that is introduction to nervous system, that is general organization of the nervous system. So as we all of you know that human beings changes their behavior in response to an external stimulus or internal stimulus, and this change of behavior is very much important because to be in as a part of higher self. So to undergo this change in behavior, neural communication and chemical communication is very much important actually. So there are two type of important communication system in the body: internal communication system, that is neural communication, as well as chemical communication. So which one is important? So out of these two, neural and the chemical communication system, the chemical one is very slow compared to the neural regulation, which is very fast. That's why neural regulation plays important role in internal homeostasis and helps the human being in change their behavior in response to an internal or external stimulus. So here we are going to study this neural communication, which is very fast and plays a significant role in change in human behavior in response to an external or internal stimulus. So all of you know the human central nervous system is human nervous system actually. It plays important role in maintenance of internal and external homeostasis of the human body. It can be compared with a computer. It can be compared to a computer which is a CPU, and it has a input and which is also an output, and the CPU has a memory. So our nervous system also plays important role like this. All the informations for the nervous system are entered into the main integrator. This is also known as integrator. So all the information for nervous system undergo input through into the CPU or into the integrator, and finally undergo memorification where it is stored, and whenever it is necessary to be output, so it undergoes output, and the output or changes is brought about by the nervous system like this. So computer also can be compared with the human nervous system, which also work by which is the input signal, central nervous system or brain or spinal cord, and output system, and it also has a memory which helps in storage. So this is the important role of nervous system. Now the nervous system plays important role in, I told you, it helps in maintenance of the internal and external homeostasis of the human body. So thus it helps in regulation of glandular secretion, or muscle contraction, glandular secretion or muscle contraction. So see, this is output, and input in response to any internal or external stimulus. Any stimulus will be taken into the CNS or central nervous system, and ultimately it will be analyzed, and thus there will be an output which is nothing but glandular secretion or muscle contraction, or it may be any other work which nervous system plays important role. So this is how there is an introduction how nervous system plays important role in homeostasis, internal homeostasis of the human body. Now we will go to some of the organization of the nervous system. So what is the most important functional, structural and functional unit of the nervous system? It is neuron. So all of you know neuron is the structural and functional unit of human nervous system. So how many neurons are there? There are around 10 to the power 11 neurons. There are around 10 to the power 11 neurons in the human nervous system. So what is a neuron? Neuron is nothing but it consists of a It consists of a cell body. It consists of an axon. It consists of so many dendrites. So dendrites are these are branchings which is connected with the somatic body or the cell body of the neuron, and these dendrites are nothing but input system of the neuron. Input system of a neuron. So all the informations that is connected to the analyzed in the neuron will be undergoes entry through dendrites. And cell body is the structure where there is analysis, and axon is the output signal. Is the responsible for output signal of in case of a neuron. So neuron can be compared with a miniature brain. So function of a neuron can be compared with a miniature brain because it consists of an input. So this is the dendrites. These are input structure, and cell body is the structure where it can undergo analysis, and there is another output structure known as axon where signal will be undergo. It take the signal away from the cell body or somatic body. So this is rough structure of an axon that plays important role in structural and functional unit of nervous system. So all of you know, so in human central nervous system or total nervous system, there is two structure. You should know. One is gray matter, another one is white matter. So what is gray matter? Gray matter is nothing but accumulation of cell body. So accumulation of cell body or soma in the nervous system is known as gray matter. Now what is white matter? White matter is nothing but accumulation of the neuron axons. Accumulation of axons are known as white matter, and accumulation of cell body are known as gray matter. So in case of brain, the gray matter is the outside and white matter is inside. And in case of the spinal cord, white matter is outside and gray matter is inside. So that is the importance role of gray matter and white matter in the human nervous system. Okay. So in the white matter, in white matter also, some of the neurons, accumulation of neurons is known as nuclei. And when it is outside the white matter, we call it ganglia. Okay. So these are the various important names that you should know in study of a organization of nervous system. Then we will go into a detail about the divisions of nervous system. Nervous system you can divide into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Nervous system you can divide into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. What is central nervous system? It consists of brain and spinal cord. And peripheral nervous system, what it consists of? It consists of nerves which is outside the central nervous system. Any nerves or neurons which is lies outside the central nervous system. So example is spinal nerves. Spinal nerves, how many are there? 31 pairs. Then cranial nerves, how many are there? 12. Then other nerves which lies outside the central nervous system like nerve plexus. Nerve plexus. Okay, and now we discuss something about CNS, that is brain and spinal cord. So what is brain? Brain is nothing but a structure which is present inside the cranium or skull box. Skull is nothing but the bony layer that lies outside the brain. So if you think actually, the whole brain is divided into cerebrum, cerebellum, and brainstem. So brain is divided into cerebrum, cerebellum and brainstem. So what is brain? Brain is nothing but a structure which is present inside the cranial box or cranium, or also known as skull box. Okay, so it is divided into cerebrum, cerebellum and brainstem. So what is cerebrum? cerebrum is actually one of the most biggest structure of the forebrain. It consists of forebrain or the brain which lies majority of the human brain is made up of cerebrum. So it is divided into cerebral cortex. The outermost layer of the cerebrum is known as cerebral cortex. The outermost layer of cerebrum is known as cerebral cortex, and it is the center for intelligence, creativity, humans behavior, complex behavior, higher thinking, all those important. All of you know it is very much plays important role in higher thinking, intelligence, mathematical calculation, creativity, rational thinking, social behavior. All those human behavior is controlled by cerebrum. Okay, and the surface of the cerebrum is thrown into several folds. These are known as sulci and gyri. Sulci and gyri. So what is sulci? The elevations are called sulci and depressions are known as gyri. So these are to increase the surface area of the brain, to accommodate the huge amount of brain inside a small cranial box, the surface of the cerebrum is thrown into folds. So these folds are known as sulci and gyri. So these are nothing but elevations and depressions on the surface of the cerebral cortex. Okay, so these are called sulci and gyri. So cerebrum plays important role in higher intelligence as we know, and below the cerebrum lies in the posterior part of the brain lies the cerebellum. Lies the cerebellum. What is cerebellum? Cerebellum is a structure which lies in the hindbrain actually, and it is center for motor learning, is the center for balance, is the center for posture, equilibrium, and it also consists of a medulla and cortex, cerebellar cortex. Then lies the brainstem. What is brainstem? Brainstem actually it lies in the posterior cranium. It consists of midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. So what is brainstem? Brainstem actually is the stem of the brain. So it lies in the hindbrain, and it is continued through vertebral column as spinal cord. So continuation of the brainstem through spinal cord, it occurs through the vertebral column. So brainstem it is divided into midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. So what is midbrain? So midbrain is the structure which is present in the middle of the brain, and below it lies the pons, and next lies the medulla oblongata. Pons is a very much important structure. Both pons and medulla oblongata plays important role in vital center of the brain. Why? It is present in the posterior cranium or posterior cranial box. It consists of mainly vital center of the brain like heart and cardiovascular center and respiratory center. So trauma to the brain, especially in the brainstem, is very much dangerous because it is life-threatening, because it consists of vital center, that is respiratory center, as well as cardiovascular center. So if we want to explain a subject that a person is dead, we always explain that the person is dead at the brainstem. So brainstem death means ultimately the person is dead. So this is because the vital center of brain, that is respiratory center as well as cardiovascular center, is present in the brainstem. So that is very much important. So brainstem consists of midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. So there are other structures you should know. Number one is like thalamus. What is thalamus? Thalamus actually is a structure which is relay center of the brain, which is also known as relay center of the brain, and it passes almost all center or all information except all center. So it is also connected with another structure known as hypothalamus. What is hypothalamus? Hypothalamus lies below the thalamus. It is called the head ganglion of the autonomic nervous system. Head ganglion of autonomic nervous system, because it can secrete many hormones, it has many functions, like it has important role in kidney center, it has important role in sexual behavior, it is important role in temperature regulation, it is important role in endocrine regulation, various hormones are secreted from hypothalamus, temperature regulation, sexual activity, sleep cycle, autonomic nervous system, sleep average manifestation, everything is controlled by emotional activity, all are controlled by hypothalamus. So it is also called head ganglion of autonomic nervous system, because it is the expression of the inner internal state as in other of limbic system. So through hypothalamus, limbic system expresses one's internal behavior to external manifestation. So this is called head ganglion of autonomic nervous system. Then another structure is known as basal ganglia. What is basal ganglia? Basal ganglia is a structure, is a group of gray matter which is lies in the below the cerebral cortex, and it plays important role in motor activity. It plays important role in motor activity. So if you know this much for introductory class, it is enough. And another structure you should know is limbic system. What is limbic system? Limbic system actually is also a group of structure which is present in the forebrain and is responsible for control of one's emotions. A circuit is related to the limbic system that is known as Pepet circuit, which is plays important role in emotion. So limbic system or limbic lobe, which consists of a series of structure like hypothalamus, anterior nucleus of thalamus, cingulate cortex, hippocampus, mammillary nucleus of hypothalamus, all are together known as limbic system, and they are one part of limbic lobe, and they also play an important role in emotion of a particular individual. So that is the limbic system. Then any other structure you want to know? Yes, very much important thing, you should not forget that the two hemisphere, what cerebrum I was talking, it consists of two cerebral hemisphere on each side, right cerebral hemisphere and left cerebral hemisphere, and they are connected together by corpus callosum in the posterior inferiority. In the posterior inferiority, they are connected by corpus callosum. So by this, the information from one hemisphere is transferred to the another hemisphere. So this is and below the corpus callosum or related to corpus callosum lies a structure known as ventricles of the brain. Known as ventricles of the brain. What are ventricles of brain? Ventricles of brain are actually CSF field structure which lies below the cerebral cortex, and it is divided into lateral ventricle, third ventricle, fourth ventricle, and it is continuous up to through central canal of the spinal cord, and CSF undergoes circulation through the ventricles of the brain. Can you understand? So ventricles of the brain is lined by a structure known as ependymal cell, and they are responsible for secretion of CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, and this CSF circulates through ventricles of the brain, and ultimately it passes through the central canal of the spinal cord and covers the subdural space, subarachnoid space. So this is actually the ventricles of the brain. So you should know about the ventricles of the brain in a wide manner when you study another class based on CSF. In CSF class, it will be explained in detailed way. So you should know something about ventricles. What are ventricles? Ventricles are CSF field structure which lies below the cerebral cortex, and it is lined by ependymal cells, and it is divided into lateral ventricle, third ventricle, fourth ventricle, and it is communicated to the central canal of the spinal cord. Can you understand? So this is the ventricles of the brain, and it plays important role in flow of CSF. So there are some foramen like foramen of Magendie, foramen of Brewster, foramen of Monroe, aqueduct of Sylvius. These are structures which gauge the junction between the lateral and the third ventricle and fourth ventricle, and help in the CSF flow. So in this another class, there is a special class that will be taken for CSF and blood-brain barrier, and it will be explained in a detailed manner. So that is ventricles. Then we will know something about spinal cord. What is spinal cord? Spinal cord is nothing but, I will explain you, spinal cord is nothing but extension of brainstem through vertebral column. Can you understand? The extension of brainstem through foramen magnum and passes through the vertebral column, and this is nothing but a neuronal structure. And if you take a cross section, it is nothing but it will look like this butterfly-like structure, and which consists of outer white matter, inner gray matter, and there is a central structure known as central canal of spinal cord, or also known as spinal canal. So this is the, if you take a cross section, you will get a butterfly-like structure. The outer structure is composed of white matter, the inner structure is known as gray matter, and the center, there is a central structure known as central spinal canal of the
central canal of the spinal cord or spinal canal. So CSF flows to the spinal canal, which is connected with the ventricles of the brain. Now we will know something about the meninges. What is meninges? Actually, the brain, and both the brain and the spinal cord is covered by a three-layered structure that is known as meninges. What is meninges? Is the covering of the central nervous system, both brain and spinal cord. Covering of the central nervous system is known as brain and the spinal cord. Okay, so brain and the spinal cord is covered by structure known as meninges. So it consists of the three layers. The outermost layer is known as dura mater. Inner layer is known as arachnoid layer. And innermost layer known as pia mater. So dura mater, arachnoid layer or arachnoid mater, then pia mater. So these are the three layers of meninges, and meninges structure is a layer which covers the brain as well as spinal cord. Is a layer which covers both the brain and the spinal cord. So in case of spinal cord, if you see the dura mater, there is a space between the dura mater, arachnoid mater, and pia mater. The space above the dura mater is called extradural space or epidural space. The dura mater, the space above the dura mater is known as extradural space or epidural space, and the space below the dura mater is known as subdural space. And below the arachnoid layer lies a space known as subarachnoid layer or subarachnoid space. So this is the layer or space through which CSF flows, cerebrospinal fluid flows. And below the subarachnoid layer lies the pia mater, which lies over the central nervous neuronal tissue, So this concept of dura mater, pia mater, arachnoid layer or subarachnoid space is very much important actually, because while doing lumbar puncture, you know what is lumbar puncture? Lumbar puncture is a technique by which at the level of the L4, L5 of the lumbar vertebra column. So because of to anesthetize the patient, to do spinal anesthesia or to do CSF examination, sometimes CSF is taken out or some anesthetic agents are injected. So through this technique known as lumbar puncture. So this concept of dura mater, arachnoid layer and pia mater is very much important for doing lumbar puncture. Okay, so which is done in the level of L4 and L5. So that is the most important thing. You should not forget the lumbar puncture is done. It's one important technique when you go for higher classes or as in clinics. The lumbar puncture is done for to spinal anesthesia as well as to rule out any disease in case of CSF examination, any infection, meningitis. What is meningitis? Meningitis is nothing but inflammation of meninges. Meningitis is nothing but inflammation of meninges. It occurs because of very much prone to infection. Meninges is prone to infection, so it leads to meningitis. And in meningitis, the patient may present with high fever, headache, and all those things. Okay, so this is the large structure of spinal cord. Okay, then we will jump to peripheral nervous system. What is peripheral nervous system? Peripheral nervous system actually it consists of 12 cranial nerves, 31 spinal nerves, then nerve plexuses and other nerves which lies outside the CNS. So what is peripheral nervous system? Peripheral nervous system is a part of the nervous system which lies outside the central nervous system, and it consists of 12 cranial nerves, 31 spinal nerves and nerve plexus and some nerves which lies outside the central nervous system. So you should know something about cranial nerves. So what are cranial nerves? So cranial nerves, actually there are 12 cranial nerves. So number one is olfactory. So there are 12 cranial nerves. Number one is olfactory cranial nerve, which is responsible for olfaction. Olfaction means sense of smell. Responsible for sense of smell. Number 2 is optic. It is responsible for vision. Number 3 is oculomotor, which is responsible for eyeball movements. Eyeball movements. Number 4 is trochlear. Trochlear, which is also responsible for eye movements. Number 5 is trigeminal. It is responsible for some of the muscles of mastication and sensory system of the face is supplied by trigeminal nerve, which has 3 important branches. Number 6 is abducent, which is also responsible for eye movements. Number 7 is facial. Facial nerve actually is very much important as it supplies the facial muscles of facial expression, and it is responsible for expression of one's face. So facial expression is controlled by facial nerve, and some part of sensory system of the face is also supplied by facial nerve. Next one is 8th cranial nerve. What is 8th cranial nerve? 8th cranial nerve is nothing but vestibulocochlear nerve. 8th cranial is nothing but vestibulocochlear nerve. What is vestibulocochlear nerve? Vestibulocochlear nerve it consists of 2 parts. One is vestibular nerve or vestibular part of the vestibulocochlear nerve, and another one is cochlear part division of the vestibulocochlear nerve. So what is vestibular division? Vestibular division is nothing but responsible for maintenance of equilibrium, and cochlear division is responsible for maintenance of hearing. So both posture and equilibrium and hearing is maintained by 8th cranial nerve. Next one is 9th cranial nerve, also known as glossopharyngeal. Glossopharyngeal nerve actually it is responsible for gag reflex, and it is also responsible for maintenance of blood pressure because it supplies baroreceptor and like aortic body and carotid body is supplied by glossopharyngeal nerve. So it is responsible for gag reflex. It is responsible for blood pressure regulation. Next one is vagus. Vagus is also 10th cranial nerve is vagus nerve. Vagus is also responsible for blood pressure regulation because it also supplies the baroreceptors, and it is also responsible for regulation of heart rate, both blood pressure and heart rate, because vagus supplies the heart, and it also supplies some part supplies the stomach and responsible for gastric secretion. So gastric secretion, heart rate of heart, as well as regulation of blood pressure is controlled by vagus. Next one is 11th cranial nerve. What is the 11th cranial nerve? Can anyone tell? 11th cranial nerve is nothing but hypoglossal nerve. Sorry, axillary cranial. Axillary cranial nerve is 11th cranial nerve. It is responsible for supplies the muscles of neck like sternocleidomastoid and trapezius, and responsible for neck contraction. Okay, so that is axillary cranial. And 12th cranial nerve. What is 12th cranial nerve? 12th cranial nerve is nothing but hypoglossal nerve that supplies the tongue and responsible for tongue movements. So these are the various cranial nerves you should know. First one is olfactory cranial nerve. Number 2 is optic. Number 3 is oculomotor. Number 4 is trochlear. Number 5 is trigeminal. Number 6 is abducent. Number 7 is facial nerve. Number 8 is vestibulocochlear. Number 9 is glossopharyngeal. Number 10 is vagus. Number 11 is axillary cranial. Number 12 is hypoglossal. Okay, so you should know some another important factor in cranial nerve. You should know what the cranial nerve that is responsible for eye movements. Can anyone tell what the cranial nerve responsible for eye movement? 3, 4, 6. So these are the third cranial nerve, fourth cranial nerve, and sixth cranial nerve. They together responsible for eye movements. Okay, and you should know one important small equation like LR6 SO6. What is SO? LR6 means lateral rectus supplied by 6th cranial nerve, superior oblique supplied by 4th cranial nerve. So lateral rectus, medial rectus, superior oblique, inferior oblique. So these are various eye movement muscles or muscles responsible for eye movements, and lateral rectus is supplied by 6th cranial nerve, superior oblique supplied by 4th cranial nerve, and all others supplied by 3rd cranial nerve. So this is a small thing you should not forget, that lateral rectus muscle is supplied by 6th cranial nerve, superior oblique supplied by 4th cranial nerve, and other muscles are supplied by 3rd cranial nerve. Okay, and together the 3, 4, 6 responsible for eye muscles and supply the eye muscles and responsible for eye movements. Okay, so these are the rough things we have finished in peripheral nervous system. Then you should know something about neurons. You should know something about neurons, which is nothing but structure and functional unit of human nervous system. So these are nothing but neurons. So what is neurons, or what are neurons? So neurons, it has very simple definition. It says neurons are structural and functional unit of human nervous system, and there are total 10 to the power 11 neurons in the human brain. 10 to the power 11 neurons in the human brain. So if these neuron, actually you should know how to classify a neuron. Okay, how you should classify a neuron? It is classified based on branches. So number one is based on branches, presence of branches. Neurons can be classified into apolar, unipolar, pseudo-unipolar, bipolar, multipolar. What is apolar? Apolar is there is only one pole, so there is no branch, neither dendrite nor axon. In unipolar there is one axon, and in pseudo-unipolar it looks like it is bipolar, but it is only one. And in bipolar there is only one dendrite and one axon, and in multipolar, so there are multiple branches of the dendrites and one axon. Okay, so this is based on branches. Another based on the length. It is divided into Golgi type 1 neuron 1, Golgi type 1 neuron 1, and Golgi type neuron 2. So what is Golgi type 1 neuron? This is the longest neuron, where axon is very long. It is a Golgi 1 neuron. And what is Golgi type 2 neuron? Golgi 2 neuron, actually it consists of very short axon. Example, basket cell of cerebellum. Basket cell of cerebellum is an example of Golgi 2 neuron. Okay, any other neuron you want to know? Yes, based on structure you can divide the neuron into pyramidal neuron. Pyramidal, then fusiform, then stellate. Okay, so these are the various types of neuron based on the structure. Then based on the function of